it's important to realize that the sort of popular everyday connotation and understanding of some of these spiritual qualities can be significantly different to the spiritual understanding of it. And I think that's true of Netzach. The word Netzach, it's so energetic and triumphant and eternal and persistent. It's like it. I think it easily is taken to be something that's pretty much outer, and it certainly does have a very important manifestation. But it is it's a spiritual reality that's being talked about, and of having, it comes from a place of vision and kavanah, so that then the energetic manifestation of it stays aligned with something that's deep and vast and connected to what is really important. So I think a good way to talk about Netzach is in relation initially to Hod. I think all of us, probably, I think everyone here, I don't know everyone, but most of you I do know, has some sense of the way in which the sphirot of chesed, of loving kindness, and gevura, of strength and justice, how they're kind of complementary to each other. And Tiferet, it's kind of like a triangle, and Tiferet is, you can say, is the balancing or the tai chi of their yin and their yang. And so there's something of that with Netzach and Hod, and then Yesod will be the triangulation point of it. That will be in the 6th week. So Netzach has a very dynamic, and since it's based on a kind of vision and kavanah, there's the idea of growth or improvement or expansion into deeper, greater worlds or accomplishments. So Netzach has the idea of changing something, really, in a sense, whereas Hod is more like appreciative acceptance, that where there's a kind of, where the humility of the situation glows with a gratitude. That's the Hod. And so the two are complementary. I just think that's beneficial to keep in mind, because now we're going to be focusing on Netzach, and part of the idea of Netzach is keeping the big picture in view, and so that's something for us to do when we're talking about Netzach, to keep in view that it's part of the whole tree of life. It's not a separate reality. I want to read a passage from Pema Chodron's teachings. It's a book called When Things Fall Apart, Heart Advice for Difficult Times. It just kind of jumped up into my fingertips, and I thought of it because there's one of her talks where she discusses the paramitas. The paramitas is the word in Sanskrit, in Buddhist and Hindu spirituality for midot, or in Christian spirituality would be the virtues. The paramitas are the qualities that a practitioner is cultivating. So one of the paramitas, the 4th paramita, is like generosity, discipline, patience, And then is exertion. Exertion. And it's really, in my mind, it's a beautiful description of how I understand Netzach. Exertion has a journey quality, a process quality. When we begin to practice exertion, we see that sometimes we can do it and sometimes we can't. The question becomes, how do we connect with inspiration? How do we connect with the spark and joy that's available in every moment? Exertion is not like just pushing ourselves. It's not a project to complete or a race we have to win. It's like waking up on a cold, snowy day in a mountain cabin, ready to go for a hike, but knowing that first you have to get out of bed and make a fire. You'd rather just stay in that cozy bed, but you jump up and make the fire because the brightness of the day in front of you is bigger than staying in bed and is calling you toward it. So I think that Netzach, which I'm thinking of is very close to how she's describing exertion, has that journey quality. It's energy that's mobilized in service of a vision, a kavanah, a calling, if you will. So I'm thinking of the third Torah portion in the Torah, in the book of Genesis, the portion that's called Lech Lecha. You know, it's the beginning of the Avraham story, and it begins with Lech Lecha. Go to yourself, go for yourself, go into yourself, and it says leave your parents' house and leave your culture and leave your land and go to the place that I will show you, and you will be a blessing. I think that journey of, you know, I'm thinking of it as an inner journey, right? I mean, it's a journey to the promised land that is never quite reached, but that's beckoning to us. And that is somehow, even though it's, I think initially the home place that we're going towards may seem to be outside of us or beyond us. My own experience would be that, and my own experience has been that that home place is already right here. It's a question of freeing myself from the conditioning that I interiorized, you know, in my family of origin, in my culture of origin, etc. And so someone I study with, Rabbi Miles Krasn, he's been talking about the sefirot as things that with each sefirot, it's like there's a quality that we have to install in ourselves, or we have to activate in ourselves. So I think that the journey of freeing ourselves from reactive emotion, from defensive personality style, etc., which is, you know, what we all, you know, we're all, you know, pretty successful survivors of our family of origin. It means that all of us have probably these really dynamite personalities and stuff, and that's good, but at a certain point, the personality becomes kind of like this, you know, it's like an albatross, you know, around your neck type of thing. And what's the journey is more and more about learning to connect with essence and to abide in essence and to learn eventually to behave from the essence that we had to terribly quickly and under duress cover over and protect as children. And that, the personality, when I'm acting from a place of freedom, my personality is not a problem, right? It's not an issue. It's a vehicle through which I can function in the world. And we all need that. But when our personality becomes entangled in reactive emotions like fear and anger and craving, then it brings us down. It brings us down into a kind of constricted place. And so that's the place that we seek to free ourselves from. Now, something, I don't know if you've ever really thought about this with the counting of the Omer, right? But it's like, what about the upper three sfirot? The whole Omer counting happens, if you look at a model of the tree of life with the four worlds superimposed, or the Yud, He, Vav, He, the entire Omer, the first six sfirot, Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, that triangle, and then the second triangle, Netzach, Hod, and Yesod, all of that is the Vav. All of that is in the world of Yetzirah. It's in the world of emotion. And because this is where we need to purify ourselves in order to free ourselves to open up to the vision and the ideation and the bliss and the deep renewal that's available when we are able to open to the worlds of Bria and Atzilut, right, which are the worlds of Bina and Chochma and Keter, the higher faculties. And that's part of the motivation. That's the trip. She's like, one morning you have to wake up and make a fire, but actually you have to wake up and make the fire every morning. Every single morning you have to get up and make this journey to free yourself so that you can have access to what it is that your heart really longs for. And there are so many different ways up the mountain. And so one of them is meditation. That's the one that we're going to be using here. But I think it's important to remember that the Omer counting is that period between Pesach and Shavuot. It's between beginning the journey, the Lech Lecha from Egypt, and vision, revelation, access to what we can have access to when we're in a state of awakened heart. And I'm thinking of awakened heart as awakened heart as in feelingfulness, but also awakened mind, heart mind. That's Lev in Hebrew, Levav, doesn't really just indicate feeling, it indicates the intersection, whether it be chaotic or harmonious, of feeling, and thought. So yeah, those two triangles, the lower triangles, are all in the world of Yetzirah, of formation. And then just the last week, Malchut, is in the world of Asiyah, the world of the physical. So I think I've actually never seen a teaching about this, but it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. How the huge bulk of the Omer counting is all about emotional purification. And if your emotional reactivity is anything like my emotional reactivity, you need it in the worst way, because when you are caught in the reactive mind, it feels awful. And if you let it, if you act it out, then the awfulness starts reverbing through the jungle. So I thought that we would use that four worlds model, which I think is a visionary model. I think it's adequate to our purposes. We can use that as a vehicle, really, for our meditation tonight.